just rob you of the plans that you have set in place. And if you are religious minded, we all know that man, plans and God, disposes. So sometimes our plans usually may not work out. I've been trying to do this now for a while, and something just keeps, you know, uh, you know, cropping up. And thank God I'm here today. And before we went on our unannounced break, we were talking about um, the issue of infidelity. And like I said earlier, my name is Nike Adekunle, and my joy is with couples who are facing one challenge or the other. But for a while, we have been talking about infidelity, the people that have been hurt by infidelity. How are you processing this? How are you coping with the betrayal of infidelity? And like I usually say on this channel, I think that it is, well, as a therapist, I know that the pain of infidelity is not felt by only one partner. It is felt by both partners. It is, both the betrayed and the perpetrator that feels the pain of infidelity. But for a while, I've zeroed in on the betrayed. The last time we spoke about this, we spoke about the pain of betrayal, and it is huge. And maybe I should just quickly give a disclaimer here, because sometimes I hear comments about people that talk about be strong and just get out of that place. Why should you allow somebody's um, uh, infidelity to bother you? Why should another person's behavior determine how you feel? Like I said, I am a couple therapist, and I'm interested in nursing you back to emotional health. I don't want people that are living in denial. And so, if that is not you, probably this is not what you should be watching. Maybe you shouldn't be on this station. If processing your emotion and healing from it properly so that you become whole is not what you desire, then maybe this channel is not for you. But like I said, I am interested in building emotionally healthy people that are strong enough, courageous enough to face their struggles and be able to, deal with it as it comes. So once again, thank you for being here. So our purpose is to be able to nurture you, heal the pain that you feel, and nurture you back to complete health. So healing and health is huge in what we do. Healing and health is a very huge part of what we do. And also, if you are interested in still staying in that relationship, because sometimes we all of us don't belong to the same school of thoughts that says that once infidelity happens, then you should check out of that relationship. Some of us, we've been able to come to terms with the fact that not because we're afraid, but because, yeah, I still really like my relationship and I want to be there. So if that is you and you really still want to be in that relationship, then I think it's a welcome development, and my joy will be to walk you and your partner. My joy will be to walk you and your partner through the process of the pain to that place where you can get complete healing. Once again, thank you for being here. My name is Nikki Adekunle, and I am a couple therapist and a relationship coach. And my joy will be, walking you through the healing process of whatever pain that you're feeling in your relationship, and nurture you back to health. And if you're interested in working on your relationship, trust me, you are in good and safe hands, and that is what we do here. And today, I would want us to talk about processing our emotions, especially after infidelity. Processing your emotions after the pain of infidelity. And when it comes to our emotions, our emotions are, we have several emotions that we face in a day. As human beings, we are exposed to several emotions that we feel. We feel fear, we feel anger, sometimes we feel pain. There are so many emotions that we feel, and it is instructive to be educated about the kind of emotions that we feel from time to time. Um, Deciding not to face your emotion is a problem in itself. And deciding to repress your emotion, it's a problem in itself. And I think that for courageous people, you get to the point where you learn how to deal precisely with the pain that you are going through. And so it is instructive for us to know that our emotions, we have several emotions. We have several emotions. Our emotions vary from time to time, from positive emotion of joy, of happiness, of, all the sweet feelings that we feel, to those negative emotions of fear, of distrust, of disgust. There are so many emotions that we feel, and I think if there is anything that we should learn, it is to understand that as human beings, it is perfectly normal. There are people that are schooled to believe that their negative emotion of anger, for instance, is wrong. And if you need to learn more about some of the emotions and how it affects our relationship, it's something that we have done, that I've covered before. And I think that you should go to our YouTube channel and find out more about, this emotion. There are so many emotions that we feel. The emotion of disgust, positive and negative, and I think it was well handled in that series. And so it is normal for us to experience various and several emotions. And another thing that is also instructive for us to know is that our emotions continue to undulate from time to time. It continues to undulate. We have 1 minute, and it can all happen in a split second. Not that there is a period of time that you feel a particular way and there's a period of time that you feel a particular way. No, even within seconds. 1 minute you're happy. Have you seen somebody that is crying and laughing at the same time? They are crying, they feel hot, but at the same time they feel like, sincerely, why am I crying over this thing? And they're laughing at themselves at the same time. So it just means that we experience several emotions, and we should not be scared. We should not be scared of this emotion when we feel them. That, what, it's perfectly normal for us to have undulating um, emotions. And one thing that is also instructive for us to know is that our emotions are guides. Our emotions are guides. Our emotions tend to want to guide us in a particular direction if we pay attention to what the emotion is trying to say. Sometimes we behave as though we are macho, we don't need to be soft. But if we listen to what our emotion is saying, usually they are trying to point us in a particular direction. Have you considered this? For anything to happen to you and you feel hot, you feel annoyed, you feel anger, then it must be triggering something in you. It must be maybe peradventure somebody is crossing their boundaries with you, and that is why you feel that way. Sometimes we need to be able to pay attention to our emotions. We need to pay attention to our emotions, because usually they are pointing us in a particular direction. And secondly, sometimes our emotion, it's about, they tend to educate us. If our emotions tend to educate us, they educate us on, ourselves. That this is where you go to, or this is what you experience, or this is what you expose yourself to, that makes you feel this way. And so we need to pay attention, because they educate us on the things that we are experiencing. So what is it that I'm experiencing? And our education, our emotions just educate us. They educate us about ourselves, and they educate us about others. And if we pay attention to our emotions, they are very good teachers. They teach us, the various things that we should do and the things we should not do, the places that we should go, the places that we should not expose ourselves to. And these lessons can be very instructive. Also, they tend to keep us safe. Our emotions, they are there to keep us safe. Sometimes when we are going through something and our emotions are all over the place, if you listen closely to what your emotion is trying to say, it is trying to make you safe. That don't If you pay attention to the particular pattern, to the particular series of events that led to this point, your emotions, if you calm down to listen to them, their intention is to make you safe. And the earlier we begin to pay attention to our emotions, the better for us. And so our emotions are just guides, they are teachers, they just help us to navigate this world in such a, this unsafe world in a safe manner. And so I think that for every single one of us, there is need for us to, pay attention to our emotions. And our emotions, once they're generated, sometimes we ignore them. Emotions that are ignored, that are unacknowledged, that are not understood, and sometimes that are not felt, they are most likely going to run us into a lot of problems. Most of the times, when we have emotions that are, when our emotions are triggered, what happens is that most of the times they are unacknowledged. We don't acknowledge them. We just feel like, for people that have been trained to believe that you need to be prime, you need to be proper, you just smile and continue to be civil. And for people that, they are prone to anger, what they do is they just display anger and just fight with everybody, and that's the end of what that is about. But the real lessons is that the real lessons that the emotion has come to teach us, sometimes we don't even pay attention to it. And so I think that we need to get that space where we begin to acknowledge and understand what exactly is this trying to tell me, and get to the place where we sit in our emotions and we feel them. It takes a lot of courage to be able to sit with your emotions, to be able to process them until you understand why it is there and why it was even triggered in the first place, especially after you have experienced infidelity. It's a tough time. Like I said, this channel and my talk is not for people who feel like they want to suppress their emotions. No, it's a disclaimer. If that is you, that you just feel like, you know what, I don't want to face it, then this is not for you. But for people that want to become emotionally healthy, then we can go on to talk about this. Because after the pain of infidelity, we don't want to feel helpless. And so we just continue to move on as if nothing has really happened. And for some of us, what we do is that we distract ourselves. Sometimes we begin to engage in compulsive behavior. We compulsively begin to work. We compulsively begin to create new projects. I want to paint the house. I want to do this. I want to do that. And just continue to, distract ourselves from feeling the emotions. When after infidelity, if you continue to, it may be you're trying to cope with the situation, but like I said, it for me, and I tell my clients, I would really not want you to just cope, but I want you to replace your coping mechanism with character. And so if that is, then you need to grow out of that space, learning all the lessons that you need to learn from that, from that experience. And so I would really not encourage that, because we don't want to feel horrible a little while, just continue to go on as if nothing has happened. I think we should try to pause on the compulsive, some people, they compulsively, they begin to engage in compulsive behaviors like cleaning compulsively, painting, creating projects, working, just to create distractions. Some people also suppress their emotions. They suppress their emotions because they don't want to feel them. And some people, there are so many ways that we can suppress our emotions. Some people just begin to indulge in, putting a lot of chemicals in their body, like alcohol, like drugs, and all of that, because they don't want to face that emotion. They begin to, some people begin to even live in denial that they are hot. They begin to just if you go if you see people that just talk generally about, what, I'm stronger than that, I'm not your mate, I don't even get out of my space, I'm bigger and better than whatever it is that has happened, that they are trying to suppress their emotion, they don't want to face it. Some people begin to engage in, destructive activities like over exercising, just looking for something, to distract and to suppress what they feel. And some other people also try desperately not to be alone. They try desperately not to be alone, so they continue to just go by visiting people, going to parties, throwing parties themselves. Even if they are in their houses, they don't want to be alone. They are always trying to be in the midst of people because they don't want to process what it is that they are going through. Some people, even when they are alone, they put on the radio and TV. Something must be making noise in the background because I don't want to be left with my thoughts. And the truth is, as a result, you are unable to properly process what is happening to you, and most of the time it results into directionless anxiety because you instead of facing one thing that is the problem, you ignore that thing and begin to the funny thing is, I don't want to face one problem, but instead I will use the anger and energy that I'm getting from what this particular problem, and I'll be transferring it to several other problems. So I'm creating a lot of problems for myself by refusing to face that one thing. It is true that our emotions are scary. It is true that when we have gone through things like infidelity, it gets us to that place where we are scared to really process what is happening. But what I'm saying today is, I'm just trying to encourage you to get into that space where you're able to process what it is that you're going to. I don't want you to begin to, become aggressive unnecessarily, because that is how other people cope. They just become aggressive. The whole world is bad. The whole world is evil, and they begin to, begin to, instead of addressing that thing, become aggressive, have directionless anxiety, and sometimes engage in numbing behaviors. But the best thing that we can do is to process this thing. What exactly is happening with me? Why am I feeling this bad? And maybe I should quickly say at this point, one of the reasons why it is difficult for people, really difficult and scary, for us to face our emotions when we get into this stage, is because our emotions are scary because we have the inability to handle, our hurts and depression. How do I get to that point where I am vulnerable enough to say that I'm hurt? This person is powerful enough to hurt me deeply. It is difficult. It is difficult. We all want to believe that we are superhumans. We all want to believe that we nobody has the power, especially if we are achievers of some sort. We know how to run our lives. We know how to get results. Then how do I, debase myself to that point where I accept that my partner has that power over to hurt me very deeply? Sometimes it is depressing to be able to get to that point, and it makes our emotions really very scary. We are scared to be able to process, to be left with our thoughts, to get to that place of vulnerability. It is really very difficult. Another reason, number two reason why it is really difficult to own up to our emotion is because, that experience is contrary to the self. Someone can hurt me that much. Someone has the power to remove the image, the persona that I've built for myself. Sometimes it's really very scary. Sometimes some of us, we have built the persona that we have a perfect family. We have and to be able to admit that, what, my family is not as perfect. My partner has indulged in infidelity. It's difficult, sincerely. It's really very difficult for our personality, our ego. And so some people also feel like, how could I have been this stupid? It's only stupid people that their spouses cheat on, or what am I not doing enough? It gets you to that point where you need to face the fact that this person does not consider me enough, and that is why he needed other choices, which is really difficult for anyone to cope with. And so I think that those are the reasons why people find it difficult. And the third reason that I want to consider, like I said, one of the reasons, the first reason why it is difficult for us to own up to our emotions, to process our emotion, is the inability. Experience is contrary to the self-image that we have built for ourselves. And the third thing is that it threatens the idea of normality that the world accepts or subscribes to. The world believes that in a normal family, the husband should love the wife desperately, and your friends believe that in a normal relationship, your husband or your wife should love you desperately, and you should be their all in all. You should be their companion. You should be enough. If he finds you enough, then he shouldn't ever consider cheating. She shouldn't ever consider cheating, and that's the world. And by the time people begin to find out, we are afraid of processing it because the world feels like there's something abnormal about our relationship, and it is for you to not be the person that is the example for everyone to see that what your home is not as perfect, it is not meeting the perfect standard that should um, that should be obtainable. Then it feels like a scapegoat, and those are the reasons why a lot of us would rather just what, I don't even want to have to deal with this. We don't want to deal with the hurt that we feel. But like I keep saying, we need to get to that point where we are able to process our emotions. We need to get to that place where we sit down. That is, I'm saying, sit down with our emotions and be able to process it. It feels overwhelming, but the truth is, when you determine that instead of me to allow this part of my life ruin several other parts, maybe if I allow myself to sit with this, then I would have the courage, I will have the power to solve the situation precisely. It is a lack of courage that makes us shy away from accepting the things that happen to us. And nothing that has happened to us is uh, exclusive to us alone. It is like life happens. And so we need to be able to generally come to terms with the fact that life is not as perfect, may not be as perfect as we want it to be. There are things that are outside our control that we don't have any control over. And when these things happen, really you may not be able to help what your partner does or does not do. And it may not all be hinged on you. And so the emotions that you will feel around this time, there are a lot of them. Like I said, you will need to grieve about what you had, or what you felt you lost, or what you thought you had that you never had. There are so many, there's a lot to do around this period, and which is what I will be taking you through. From next week, I may begin to talk about the emotions one after the other, so you know how to deal with this, especially if the pain is raw. I want to say thank you. Thank you to as many people that took time to fill our questionnaire. I want to say thank you to everybody that filled our survey. I want to say thank you to everybody that reached out on WhatsApp. For all the people going through one pain or the other, trust me, we are in the journey, and I am your sister in the journey, and we will be able to walk through this to a reasonable conclusion where you are healed of hurt and of pain. And like I said, I don't want this to be too long, and I would want to, just stop this for now, and next week we'll continue till we are able to we'll continue to explore the emotions that you feel one after the other until we fully get to that place of healing. And from me to you, I want to say this is where I'll be closing the curtains today. Please try to sit with your emotions. The skill that you will need to sit with it, I will be here to provide. If you need to reach out desperately, you can as well reach out. I will be here to listen to you and to be of help to you whenever you need me. And until I come your way next time, next week, keep safe. And to everybody that is not going through infidelity, whatever the issues are, sit with your emotions and process your emotions. Don't let it spill over every other thing, but let us handle our emotions with a lot more maturity. Until I come your way next time, bye for now.